Hello, and welcome to the new Minecraft modded series. This new series will be about SCPs. If you don't know what that is, let me give you a small briefing. SCP stands for Secure, Contain, and Protect. The SCP Foundation is responsible for capturing and containing any paranormal and mysterious anomalies that can't be explained. They keep these anomalies hidden from the world as to not cause any panic and reduce any sort of casualties. Now that you've been briefed over what SCP is and what it stands for, let me tell you what this series is going to be about. Each episode I will be explaining 5 different SCPs, starting with the Safe class. I will be going in order of classes and not SCP numbers. I must also put a disclaimer in the beginning of every video, for I will be reading each SCP's description directly from the SCP Wiki. None of the information that I will be telling you is of my own writing. And with all of that said, let's begin our journey into the new Minecraft modded series about SCPs.
SCP-997 is a device superficially resembling a lamp, but without a bulb and a twisting wire structure in place of a shade, believed to function as an antenna. It is made primarily of metal and was somewhat corroded when contained, though this does not appear to have affected its functionality. Imaging of the internal workings suggests sophisticated electronics of unknown purpose. There is a switch near the top that controls whether or not the device is active. When connected to a power source and turned on, SCP-997 emits a field that affects every human within about 250 meters. This field cannot penetrate a Faraday cage that follows the specifications given in Document 99702, and seems to be at least partially psychic in nature. All persons affected by the field become unable to perceive in any way anything that would consider vermin. This effect is based on subjective judgment, so one individual may perceive something that another may not. SCP-997 effects extended to sufficiently accurate representations of vermin. Testing results suggest that SCP-997 only suppresses conscious awareness of vermin, inflicting symptoms akin to spatial neglect except across all senses. Consequentially, though people affected by SCP-997 do not report noticing vermin, they do respond to their presence, though they cannot explain the basis for their reaction. Subjects will often create fanciful excuses for their reactions and refuse to acknowledge the implausibility of these explanations. This disconnect seems to have adverse psychological effects, including paranoia, distress, and delusions. See Experiment Log 997 for further information. SCP-500 is a small plastic can which at the time of writing contains 47 red pills. One pill, when taken orally, effectively cures the subject of all diseases within 2 hours, exact time depending on the severity and amount of the subject's conditions. Despite extensive trials, all attempts at synthesizing more of what is thought to be the active ingredient of the pills has been unsuccessful. SCP-524 is a common white rabbit. It can be identified by its white fur with symmetrical black markings on its body. SCP-524 has shown the ability to be able to consume any material regardless of edibility. It eats in the same fashion as any other member of its species, though it can eat substances that are not only inedible but dangerous. SCP-524 has been recorded chewing through wood, steel, glass, and in one instance, several kilos of radioactive material. SCP-524 shows no adverse effects from anything it has consumed. Despite the obvious paradox involved, SCP-524 has been known to fully consume its own body. It begins by chewing on its tail, slowly eating up past the hind legs and up towards its head. When it reaches up past its front legs and neck, SCP-524 somehow manages to flip its entire mouth inside out, consuming its entire head and disappearing completely. Roughly 30 minutes later, SCP-524 reappears near the spot it had eaten itself, completely whole. It is essentially unharmed by the process. Scp-131a and Scp-131b, affectionately named the iPods by personnel, are a pair of teardrop-shaped creatures roughly 30 centimeters, 1 foot in height, with a single blue eye in the middle of their bodies. Scp-131a is burnt orange color, while Scp-131b is mustard yellow. At the base of each creature is a wheel-like protrusion which allows for locomotion, suggesting that the creatures may be biomechanical in origin. The subjects can move surprisingly fast, curving over 60 miles or 200 feet in a matter of seconds. The subjects, however, lack a braking system, which has led to some rather spectacular, if not overly amusing, mishaps involving the creatures. The subjects have also shown the ability to climb sheer surfaces and have gotten lost in the air vents on more than one occasion. The subjects seem to have intelligence of common house cats and are insatiably curious. Most of the time, they simply roll around the facility, observing personnel at work and catching peek at other safe-class SCPs. The subjects seem to be able to communicate with each other via an untranslatable high-pitched babbling. The subjects have never been observed to blink, even in laboratories, when the subjects have been videotaped for over 18 consecutive hours. SCP-553 is a colony of approximately 140,000 winged organisms superficially resembling butterflies. They possess a silicone-based biochemistry and are composed primarily of calcium and silicate compounds. The body of a member of the species is mostly calcite, with some of the internal organs composed of material similar to quartz with piezoelectric properties. This silicate impurity adds rigidity to the creature, giving it rating from 3.5 to 4.5 on the Mohs hardness scale. Although they continue to grow throughout their observed lifespan, the growth rate slows considerably once they have entered their adult stage. The average observed wingspan of an adult is 2.3 centimeters. Members of SCP-553 primarily rely on a form of echolocation to sense their surroundings. They do this by creating a variety of ultra-high-pitched tones via scraping and striking their legs together, and appear to use their wings as a mobile array to detect reflected sound. Additionally, they appear to have a variety of chemosensors in their foot pads, allowing them to determine the mineral composition of the surfaces they land on. Adult instances of SCP-553 primarily feed by scraping fungus and lichen from the cavern floor, and to a lesser extent, leaching minerals from stalagmites, using a similar acid as used by the larval stage.
This concludes today's documentation. I apologize if you had a hard time understanding what I was saying because of any stuttering or word jumble. If I've missed any information or I've gotten something wrong, please comment down below and share your thoughts. Until next time, friends, stay safe.